Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome to a special live stream edition of the Jada and Stitches Show on this October 31st, 2025. I thought it would be a lot of fun rather than just doing a regular video and something kind of Halloween-y. We did some Halloween decor yesterday. We had back-to-back live streams yesterday afternoon. We made a big web, which I have on the table here because I actually really like it as decor. I'm going to be shuffling it around as the evening progresses. And we made some giant spiders. So giant spider web. That pattern is now in the shop. If you missed our post about it earlier today, several of you were in the shop asking about it last night. Thank you so much for inquiring. And yes, the pattern is now in the shop. It is up in the featured section. So if you're looking for it, you'll find it there. And both patterns are in the same file. It is a pattern for both the spider web and the spider. Today, I thought we'd have some fun and do a little freestyle crochet. So if you've never tried freestyle crochet, it's less of a set of rules and more of a concept. Freestyle can be applied to a lot of different kinds of crochet, but basically what it means is this: you just go for it. You pick up your hook, you pick up your yarn, you have kind of an idea in your head or maybe no idea at all, and you just start crocheting. And the concept of freestyle crochet can be applied to anything. Today, we're going to apply it to a witch hat. Now, maybe you don't want to make a witch hat, maybe you'd rather make a wizard hat, maybe you'd rather make some kind of hat that, or a piece of costuming that suits the costume you want. Maybe you just want a simple collar or something. We're going to do a witch hat though. So I'm going to take you through my freestyling journey of making a witch hat, and you can make one right along with me. There are no special stitches. There are no stitch counts that matter. It is just a concept. So if that scares you a little, good, because it's Halloween and you should be a little frightened. But it should more than anything excite you. So we're going to make a witch hat, and you can make this hat out of any color or combinations of colors. We are going to experiment with stitch tension. We are going to experiment with a little bit of maybe some mixed media. I put out a post earlier today suggesting that we were going to make a freestyle witch hat. This is a workshop and less a tutorial. So today you are learning the concept of freestyling. You can make a hat along with me, but you don't need to think about, do I have the right hook? Do I have the right yarn? Do I have the right stitch count? Because it's going to be all specific to you. So you don't really have to count today. You just turn your brain off. I have here some craft wire. About a yard of this might be handy. This is optional. You may not need it at all. If you don't have craft wire, you can use some pipe cleaners instead. And all I'm going to do with this is work it into the final row of the brim of the hat so that I can bend it or kind of like have a wider brim than maybe just like your typical little cloche hat. I want a slightly wider brim, and I don't want it to be heavy and to flop down in my face. So I'm going to work some wire into the last row, and I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. In terms of decoration, I've got a bunch of colors here. I think I'm primarily going to make my witch hat black, but I did get some other Halloween-y colors because I thought I've never actually crocheted myself. I have many witch hats in my collection. I like to be a witch at Halloween. It's fun. I enjoy answering the door with a great big hat on my head. So I've made multiple witch hats over the years for different kinds of witch costumes. But since I've been kind of clowning around this Halloween, and the last couple of weeks we've made Halloween clown costume pieces, a clown collar and a clown hat, I think I'm going to continue with that clowny kind of feel, and I'm going to try and make a witch hat that has a clowny feel to it. So kind of like if a witch also like kind of moonlit as a clown. So I've got some Halloween colors. I've got some primarily black. This is acrylic yarn. It's size 4, medium weight. You can use a size 5 chunky weight if you want, if that's what you've got. You could also use DK weight, but you want a stiffer yarn. So acrylic is typically stiff. Like I find acrylic has a sort of a stiffness to it. Cotton is usually a little too on the soft side or a little too on the bendable side. We don't want bendable yarn. If you've got that velvet, like that, I think it's usually a size 5, if you've got some of that velvet yarn lying around, this would be a nice opportunity to use that if you don't know what else to do with it. But what you want is yarn that is kind of on the stiff side. So err on having around 200 to 250 yards. You might need more, you might need less, depending on how you freestyle this. I'll explain that as we go. And you want a hook that lets you have a tight tension. So I'm going to be pairing up a 4.5 millimeter hook with my yarn today. This is also a G6. You might want to go smaller, you might want to go bigger. This has a lot more to do with your personal tension when it comes to freestyling than it does a specific pattern. But what you want is stiff fabric. Kind of like when we make a basket, we want that fabric to be stiff because a witch hat needs to sit up a little bit and the brim needs to sit out a little bit. And of course, these are hat concepts that you can apply to other hats. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're, a witch hat is like you might want to put a brim on a sun hat, for example, next summer, or you might want to put a wider hat on a bucket hat, for example. So it doesn't have to be a costume piece. The same concept of having a nice stiff tension and a tight stitch applies because that will help your brim stay out. It will also help shape your hat and keep its shape. So that's what I'm using. I see that there's a bunch of stuff happening here in the chat. So let me just take a quick break and go to the chat. I can actually see the chat today. This is so much fun. Hello, family. Hello, everybody, for being here. Mr. and Stitches has just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Mr. and Stitches. Congratulations to Stephanie, Charlene, Kathy, Kaylin, and Dorothy. Welcome to and welcome back to the family. Congratulations. And he did it again. Another 5 memberships. Thank you, sweetheart. Congratulations also to Ivana, Vicky, Sabrosa, Cindy, Cece. Congratulations, guys. Welcome to and welcome back to the family. Thank you, Mr. and Stitches. Mr. Stitches is such a goofball. And Becky. Becky also swinging in there from the left or the right with a ninja-style gifted membership. Thank you, Becky. Congratulations to Miss Jersey. Welcome back to the family. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go. Mr. and Stitches is in the chat. He's babysitting Penny. Penny is waiting for her big debut, her Halloween debut at the door tonight. We may not see any little ghouls and goblins this evening because the weather out there is pretty frightful. But we're ready nonetheless. So let's get into this freestyling hat. If you've got your hook yarn and maybe some wire, this is kind of a nice to have. It's not a need to have, but definitely you want some yarn. You definitely need your hook. Pair of scissors, a yarn needle, obviously. Goodness me, Mary Beth, thank you for picking up a costume piece at the shop. The cat tail. If you want to be a cat, we have a costume of all the proper accessories you need to crochet yourself a quick cat costume. Dress in black, ears, mitts, tail, you're done. Making a costume doesn't have to be difficult, and it should always be fun. If you want to also add some stuff to your witch hat, like maybe the end of your hat has a little charm hanging off it, or maybe you've got beads and sequins on your hat because your witch is kind of a fancy witch. Maybe she likes fancy glittery balls or something. You can work in beads if you want. You can have like just kind of raid your craft stash. I also I'm not sure if I'm going to do these, but I've got some safety eyes here, the sort of things you put in an amigurumi. Wouldn't it be kind of fun to put a bunch of eyeballs on your hat? So you could make your hat and stick safety eyes in it to make it look like the hat's looking every which way. I think it's kind of a fun opportunity. Witch hats give you a lot more kind of creative license. I've even got like little bells, and I don't know. I'm not quite sure where this is going to go because it's a freestyling hat, but I wanted to make sure I had beads and buttons and all kinds of things sort of nearby and ready to grab in case I saw the right place for it. So I'm going to clear my little workspace. I've got a little table sitting in front of me here. I'm just going to clear my workspace. I'm going to put all my beads and my charms and my cabochons, and I've got some really cute little charms like little suns and moons, and I think this is even like I have this really cute little, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little chair, like it's a fancy chair like you might find in an old-fashioned parlor. I just love that so much, and I think it might be kind of cute hanging off the top of the hat. You know, it's kind of quirky. So I have these things here. I may use them, I may not. If you are using the wire, you're going to need a pair of wire snips or an old pair of scissors that you don't care about, because craft wire is usually pretty thin and you can usually cut it with an old pair of scissors, but don't use your good scissors because you'll dull them. But wire snips are the best. If you're using pipe cleaners, you don't need wire snips because pipe cleaners are bendable on their own. And if you need your glasses, make sure you have those handy. And a beverage. I've got a little bit of cranberry ginger ale. It's a nice red color. I thought that was sort of fitting for Halloween. There's Crocus. Crocus Connections is in the chat. Hello, girl. Crocus says, happy Halloween, Jada and family. Freestyle and fun. You got it. We are going to have a whole bunch of freestyle and fun. All right, let's get into it. So, very easy. If you're making this for yourself, you're already here. You've already got the head available. If you're making it for another head in the household and that head is handy, maybe have it nearby. Or grab a tape measure and just quickly measure that head. So if you want to grab the head of whomever you're going to make this for, you can do that over on our webpage on the tools page of jadaandstitches.com. Go to jadaandstitches.com/tools. We've got a head sizing chart. So if you're unsure, you don't have the head handy, but you want to make a freestyle witch hat or wizard hat for somebody who's not immediately there, then there is a head sizing chart there, and you want the circumference measurement for the age of the person that you're making it for. And that's a general head sizing chart. It's pretty accurate. So don't worry. And plus, this will also be a little on the stretchy side, so that's okay too. But you will need your measuring tape, unless you're making it for yourself, and then you don't. So I'm going to start with black because that makes sense to me. It's going to be a little witch hat after all, and I will worry about working in some different colors as I go. Nothing complicated here in terms of stitch work. I'm going to be using single crochet. You could use half double crochet if you want, but you want a stiffer, tighter stitch. So technically, you can use any stitch you want, but remember, the taller the stitch, the sort of the looser or the less strong it is, and it'll be a little more frumpy. So if you want a hat that kind of like squishes down, like has a little bit more sorting hat kind of squish looking to it, or a little more like bent, broken, old scarecrow kind of feel, then you can use a taller stitch. You can also mix your stitches together. You don't actually have to use all the same stitch. So again, it's freestyle. I'm trying to find the middle of this ball of yarn. I thought perhaps I'd already pulled it out at this point. Yeah, there it is. The other side. Of course it's the other side. All right, let me get this going. And like I said, this is a workshop much more than a tutorial, because when you freestyle something, you don't really need to follow along with what anybody else is doing. I'm going to give you some tips, obviously, because we are making a hat and you want it to fit, but past that, it's kind of like all you, baby. So here we go. I think I'll be able to fight my way through this. Wow, that is really in there. No, this is not going to be another live stream where I just untangle yarn for half an hour. There we go. I'm just going to pull the guts out, I guess. Sometimes you can sort of see where it snags, and if you kind of just grab all the yarn underneath it and kind of just gently pull out on that, it kind of loosens up whatever that snag might be. I don't want to pull this from the outside though, because it's going to end up jumping all over the place on me, and I don't want that. So here we go. Come here, guts. Come on out. And you know what? I am going to pull it from the outside. Who cares? I will pull it from the outside. I'll deal with this mess later. So I'm not going to let this slow me down today. I'm just going to pull all of this. Everything I just pulled out, I'm going to shove back into the middle of the ball. I'll deal with that later. This is a future Jada problem. I'm going to have this down here on my little table. There we go. Okay. I can manage that. Let's go. We're going to start with a slip knot. So many good things start with a slip knot. So easy peasy start, slip knot. Then you're just going to chain. You're going to chain until it fits all the way around your head. Not too tight, not too loose, and I dare you not even to count. I'm going to do this freestyling witch hat without counting anything. Goodness gracious, we've got Martha in the chat. Hello! Hello! Martha with a $35 super chat. ZAR. That is Z-A-R. Zealand? New Zealand? Help me out. What is that? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Martha's sending a little bit of love. I'm going to give that a little bit of love myself. And Crocus's too. Thank you so much, both of you. I am chaining. I'm just looking at everybody in the chat here. I don't want to be, I'd rather look at you as opposed to what, I have the chat next to me. I can actually see it today, so that's really fun. All right, so I'm just training. Still a little bit more to go. I want this hat, when it's sitting on my head, to sit kind of just over the tops of my ears, but I don't want it to be tight. Whenever you have a hat that's a little tight around your head or a little tight over your ears, makes it very uncomfortable to wear. And costumes, among other things, besides being fun, should also be comfortable. It should almost feel like you're kind of putting on a pair of pajamas. Costuming is, especially for something like Halloween or if you're going to a party later, you know, you want to be able to wear it all night, at least for a few hours, and be comfortable doing it. All right. That feels good to me. That feels... So what I've done is I've chained a length. I put it around the back of my head, over my ears, and around my forehead with just a little bit of a pull, like so a little bit of stretch. It fits quite comfortably. I don't know how many chains this is. I'm not counting. I don't want to know. The only thing I want to make sure I'm not doing is twisting the foundation chain row. And I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first chain to make a ring. But I'm not going to slip stitch join. I'm going to join with a single crochet because I'm just going to start single crocheting in every single stitch all the way around. And you know what? I need a stitch marker. Because I'm using black, because I'm using a small stitch, I want to make sure I kind of know where the beginning of my row is. I also see a membership milestone here from... for some reason, I've got the @ sign, so I can't necessarily see. South African currency. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. South African. So why the Z? Is that, what's the Z mean? Can you tell me what the Z means? I'm curious. That's really cool. Thank you. This is Aga Riri. That is what the @ sign tells me. So I can't see your regular name. For some reason, the chat's just showing the ats, the @ handles. I don't know why YouTube decided to do that, but Aga Riri. That's what it looks like to me. I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you. Happy Spooky Day. You look so adorable today. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to grab a stitch marker. Hold those thoughts. I'm going to knock into a few things. All right, here I am. Back. Okay. So I've joined that chained ring with a single crochet, and that's kind of like the first stitch of row 1. And now all I'm going to do is just single crochet in every single chain all the way around. Again, I'm not counting. I don't care what the stitch count is. I'm not interested. What I'm interested in is making sure that this ring at the end of my first row fits over my head. So fits like around me, kind of like a crown would. We also have a crown tutorial if you want a crown for Halloween. If you want to dress up as a monarch of some sort, we have a crown tutorial. You know what? Later on today, I'll put out a post of just some of our Halloween patterns, which are, and like the crown can be made last minute. If you're still kind of struggling to figure out what you're going to do, if you're going to a party last minute, or you're having a little get together at your house, maybe the weather's not cooperating or something, then I've got a lot of the little costumey pieces we do are quite quick. It's sort of something you can whip up while you're kind of just running around doing the laundry or last minute things around the house. I love costume stuff like that. Just focus on, if you're putting together the whole costume, your first thought is color. Your second thought is like hemline. Like, is it pants or a skirt? Is the skirt a long thing or a short thing? Do you need brightly colored legs, or your legs should hide in the background? Is it bare arms or covered arms? You know what I'm saying? Like, you sort of do all these main kind of answer those build questions in your head, and then just throw on the right color, throw on the right hemline, the right line for your wrist, and then focus on the accessories. Does it need ears? Does it need a hat? Does it need a collar? Does it need cuffs? Does it need some kind of tail? Little things like that. Maybe it needs paws or something. Maybe it needs wristlets. Maybe it needs some kind of glove. So you answer all those questions, and then that's what you focus on. It's the accessories that really sell a pattern. And then, of course, if you're going to sort of decorate your face, put on a kind of jewelry, or maybe it's the right sort of hair accessories and the right footwear. And there you go, you've got a costume. Hello, everybody. Everybody's hanging out here. I am struggling to see this because A, it's black, and B, I'm not wearing my glasses. So if you'll pardon me, I'm going to put my old lady glasses on. Ew, yes, much better. Put my little chain behind my head. That's better. Now I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to single crochet as tightly as I think I can in each stitch all the way around. And this is sort of, we're starting with a cone shape. So the bottom of the cone is the widest part. That's the part that is going to fit around your head like a crown. And then as we build the cone, we are going to get sort of narrower and narrower and narrower. So we're going to be doing decreased stitches, but they can pretty much be done at any time, in any format. And one of the reasons that I think a witch hat is a perfect candidate for a freestyle crochet project is because, in my opinion, the crankier and more crooked a witch hat looks, the more like a witch hat it appears. Is the kind of witch you're making like a cute bubbly witch? Is it a clowny witch like I'm going to try and achieve here today? Is it a witch hat that's on theme for something else? Like maybe it's got a Disney theme. Maybe you're going to put Mickey Mouse ears on it. Witch hats can be like a blank canvas too, but I feel like if you're going to make a traditional witch hat to make kind of a spooky witch costume, then a cranky, crooked witch hat is perfect. So mismatched stitches, mismatched increasing and decreasing, just the perfect candidate for freestyling. So I'm just coming around here on my first row, and I'm trying to keep my stitches snug because hats also stretch out with a little bit of wear, and this was a comfortable fit. So the foundation chain row was a comfortable fit around my head, but I want to make sure that my stitching is going to be on the snug side because it will stretch with wear and the heat of your body. I want it ultimately to sit up. I don't want to have to stuff the cone of the hat, which of course you can do because it's a costume piece. It just makes your hat a little hotter. Everybody's having a good time in here. The wind is really roaring out there. It is going to be a wild Halloween night, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm all the way back. That's my last stitch there. I'm going to get that. And I've done the first row of single crochet. That fits just fine around my head, over my ears, around the back of my head. So that's perfect. Now, I'm not interested necessarily in knowing where the beginning row or the beginning of the row is anymore, because now I'm just going to start crocheting. I'm just going to single crochet, maybe half double crochet. I don't want to use, I'm going to use the tighter, smaller stitches because I want my hat to be moldable as opposed to like squishy. And if I do have to put any stuffing in it, I don't want that showing through the stitches. So single crochets and half double crochets only for me. And if you are struggling to get your hat to sort of be stiff, I've got some other fun tips for it coming up. But for now, I'm just going to single crochet around and around and around until I feel like I've got like a thick kind of band. Remember, when you're making a hat, you want it to be able to, you can't start decreasing right away because it's got to fit the majority of your cranium. So you want to make a few rows. Like I said, you can use the half double crochet stitch. It goes a little faster. I might do a row of single crochet and then maybe I'll do the next row of half double crochet. I'm not joining my rows. I'm just single crocheting in the round or crocheting in the round because I don't want to deal with like close the row, chain one, have a seam. I just want to start crocheting around and around and around and around. And in that case, on a row where I might be decreasing, I might break out the stitch marker again just so I know that I've gone all the way around and like decreased all the way around at least once. Because in order to create a cone shape, cone shapes are made by, let's say you start wide you do a row of straight and then you decrease. You do a row or two of straight and then you decrease. You do a row or two of straight and then you decrease. If you're going from the top down, you start small and then you do a row of straight, then you increase and do a couple rows of straight and then you increase. And that's how you make a cone, whether you're working from the bottom up or the top down. It's easiest when freestyling a hat to work from the cranium circumference outwards. So whether you are just making a slouchy beanie and you want to kind of work up and then just cinch the top so that you've got kind of a rounded top and then go back and add the brim. It looks neat when you make a hat from the top and you start and you kind of work your way down and then you do the brim and it's all in one piece. That's great, but they're not as easy to get to fit properly because your tension can be different than the patterns. Your yarn could be different than the patterns. Your hook size might vary. Hook sizes vary between manufacturers, and individual hands and tension can have different effects on hook sizes themselves. So if you want to make a hat that is a perfect fit, it's often better to start with the cranium circumference. So you're starting your hat where it touches the head all the way around, however you want to grow it. In this case, we're going to build a cone. Mandy's throwing around some sweet compliments. Thank you, Mandy. Samantha's asking what hook I'm using. I'm using a G6, but like I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what yarn you're using. It doesn't matter what hook you're using. I'm using acrylic and a G6 because the G6 hook lets me get a snug, tighter stitch with this size yarn. I don't want a flexible, loose fabric. I want a snug, tight fabric because I want my witch hat to mostly stand up on its own. And we will see how long this takes me. And like I said, it's a special workshop, Halloween edition of the Jada and Stitches show today. A lot of people have asked for a witch hat over the years, and I haven't really gotten around to making one. And because I've made so many witch hats for myself, haven't crocheted any, but have sewn them. I've made them out of cardboard. I've made all kinds of bonkers hats for myself over the years. And I've crocheted a lot of hats, but I've never actually crocheted a witch hat for myself. I have crocheted witch hats for children and for pets and for dolls, but never actually for myself. So I thought, this is the year. This is the year. We're going to do it together, and we're going to use the opportunity to learn a little freestyling crochet. So I've gone all the way around at least twice, and it still fits. So this is the other thing you want to do when you're freestyling a hat. You are always pausing to put it on. You're putting it on. You're kind of like feeling, all right, I'm so high. I want to keep going. You want to have at least like, you want a main cranium crown. So the crown part goes all the way around your cranium. You want that to at least go sort of, let's say from your eyebrow up past the top of your head. So you want like 2.5 inches, like 6-7 centimeters at least, before you start to turn it into a cone. And that's just because our heads are built a certain way and we want that hat to sit there and to sit there comfortably. But you also don't want to decrease too late, because part of the decreasing will also help give a little bit more foundation to the cone part of your hat. I'm going to switch to half double crochet just because. Again, I'm not counting. I have no idea how many stitches are in this row or any of the rows. I don't care. I'm just more interested in it fitting and growing quickly. So I'm switching to the half double crochet stitch because that's still a tighter stitch. It's still sort of small. I can make it snug, but it's a little taller than a single crochet, and I want this to grow quickly. This is a fun, quick project. Quick, relatively speaking. It'll probably take an hour or two, depending on what you want to add to it. Crocus says in Manitoba the sun is out and she did some yard work. Oh, that's nice. But you had your yesterday weather was crummy. Okay, yeah, so we got your weather. Debbie wonders what the mister is dressing up as. The mister is dressing up as a dog butler today. I'm usually the one that answers the door. The mister kind of runs sound effects and, you know, plays spooky music and stuff in the background, or just makes himself at home and does a little bit of gaming. We love Halloween because back in the early, many years ago, I guess our subdivision is aging. You know, there were a lot more kids years and years ago, and the kids are kind of growing up, and some of them want to hang out with their friends elsewhere and stuff. So every year is a little different. I usually keep track of how many kids we have. That helps me figure out how much stuff I have to have at the door to give out. But in the past, you know, it took both of us to kind of like run interference to, you know, open the door, and like, you know, you're eating dinner, like all these things are happening at the same time. But over the years, it's gotten quieter and quieter and quieter. So the mister kind of like, he keeps the back end running. So the music, and maybe keeps the snacks flowing. He'll definitely be wrangling Ms. Pup this evening. I don't want to have Penny in her harness, but if I want to answer the door, I also don't want her to. I don't want to feel like she's going to run out the front door in her excitement. So he'll probably be wrangling Miss Pup. I don't know. We'll see. I think last year we had only two or so kids, but the weather was decent. This year, I really don't know what's going to happen. It is a perfect spooky weather night, but I don't know if the little ones want to be out in this. Yeah, I'm sure if you're all just tuning in, welcome. Hello, everyone. I've got you on the big screen while working on another pattern on the tablet. Are you guys like that? Do you kind of put a live stream on the television and then have something else running, like your phone's next to you, and then maybe you've got like the tablet like with something else up? Maybe you've got Pinterest going, or a pattern like Amanda says. I do that all the time. I love watching live streams. I love to watch you know, something live, just even like podcasts, just to kind of have them yap in the background while I'm doing something else. I don't know if that means I've got some kind of ADHD, but I like to have multiple streams going at the same time. All right, that was a quick row. So I can tell that I'm all the way back. I did half double crochets, so it's already a little bit taller. Still feels nice and comfortable around my head. Yep, I'm going to keep with that. So I'm going to do another row of half double crochet. And I'm considering adding some, I'm not sure how I'm going to decorate this hat. Like I said, I'm really freestyling it. I want this hat to grow with my imagination. So part of the idea is, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, witch hat. It's a cone with a brim. All right. So today we're going to make a cone with a brim. How we get there and what it looks like towards the end becomes the individual creative input. So for example, I have lots of different colors with me. I may use them, I may not. I've got the wire so I can strengthen the brim of my hat. And I've got my hook. I think I'm getting a nice tight tension here, but I'm considering my witch hat at its base to be black. Maybe you want to film, or I should say, like, make yourself a ribbon. I was thinking like a big thick band, a belt buckle, you know, like kind of that pilgrim style kind of look that a lot of witch hats sort of borrow from. Decorating this is going to be a big part of the fun. I was also thinking this would be really cute if it was all in red with white polka dots like a mushroom, but it's a witch hat. Hello everyone, if you're just tuning in, we are freestyling a witch hat today. So happy Halloween. If you want to make a witch hat or a wizard hat, both basically are kind of cone shaped. So this is kind of a fun thing. You basically grab some yarn, whatever yarn you want. Stiffer yarn is better, like a wool blend or an acrylic. I would stay away from cotton if it's soft. If you can get a stiff cotton, that'll work fine. And you want a hook that lets you get a stiffer, tighter stitch with whatever yarn you've chosen. So again, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to chain a foundation chain that fits all the way around your head. And then you can join with a slip stitch or join with a single crochet and just start crocheting around and around and around. And basically what you're doing to start with is making a band that fits around your head comfortably. You want to think like, all right, this is a costume. I'm probably going to want to wear this for a couple of hours. If you are making it for somebody to wear out, It's nice to have a slightly warmer hat on Halloween, because Halloween certainly here can be cold. It's going to be wet too here, so having a little extra layer of warmth is a good thing. And you can use, I would recommend single crochet and or half double crochet to establish the base of your hat. Those are smaller, tighter stitches. They won't show, you know, spaces through them, and the smaller, tighter stitch work creates a stronger foundation for the rest of your cone to sit on. It is really nice to see so many of you here. And thank you guys for the compliments. I really appreciate it. All right. Oh, I'm all the way back around again. So this is happening faster and faster and faster. Why? Because I've established it. So I've got 2 rows of single crochet, 2 rows of half double crochet. I'm going to stick with the half double crochet for a while. Let me have a little sip of my brightly red colored drink. Fizzy. Let's try this on. Yes, quite comfortable. So there's a little band. So now you see, if this is going to be a hat, you see how it still has to go, you have to just kind of keep working straight for a while. You're creating a bit of a stovepipe before you turn it into a cone. And because it's a witch hat or a wizard hat, it can be a little on the crooked side. So I'm going to stick with the half double crochets for now. And my goal is to make this, so I'm really concerned with this becoming, what did I say, 2.5 inches-ish, 3 inches maybe, so 7 centimeters to 8.5, 9 centimeters tall. And that is so that it will, when I start to decrease and turn it into a cone, the cone part won't be tight around the top of my head. It'll be above that part. Don't know if you guys can hear the wind howling out there, but it is it is picking up. So the half double crochet is a really good one, I think, for this, because it's growing a little faster than it would if it was just single crochet. You could use 2 strands held together if you wanted. So if you're concerned about making a stiff fabric, holding 2 strands together will make it stiffer, and they don't have to both be the same weight. So for example, if you had like regular size 4 medium weight black yarn like this, and you had like a size 3 neon or another black yarn, maybe you have like a sock weight yarn, something that's got a little sparkle in it or whatever. If you hold those 2 strands together with the smaller hook, it will be very stiff. You'll also need fewer chains to get all the way around your head. You'll need, which means your rows will have fewer stitches in them. So holding, like using a heavier weight yarn like a 5 or holding 2 strands together will make it stiffer, and it'll crochet up even faster. So you can do that too. And because this is freestyle, you can at any time work in an extra yarn. You might want to add some decreases in the row that you add the extra yarn into, because that will account for it getting a little thicker, or maybe you like that look. Adding in the extra yarn at any time, you can start with them held together, or you can be like, I'm adding in an extra yarn. You can do that too, and it'll just give a row of strength, or a whole stripe of strength, a stripe of interest. Remember, this is freestyle, so there are no rules. You just keep trying it on and trying it on, and you do whatever feels fun, whatever looks right, and whatever your little heart desires. Freestyling projects are a little intimidating at first, so it's nice to kind of approach it with something that's not important, like a costume piece. Rogue has to take off, getting the water heater fixed. That is very important. Have fun. Thanks so much for being here. We might still be here when you're back. Looks like Tammy's got new puppies in the house. That is exciting. New puppies and kittens are always fun to have. It kind of makes the whole house come to life. All right, I think I'm coming around again. This is working out to be a little, yeah, there we go. So I'm all the way back around again. I can kind of tell because there's just like a small jog at the bottom of my band. I don't care, but now we're getting thicker. So that's still, yeah, maybe now about that amount again. So that was 5 rows, 3 rows of half double crochet, 2 rows of single crochet. So I think maybe another 4 rows of half double crochet, and I'll probably be able to start gradually turning it into a cone shape. But we're going to see. We're just going to keep trying it on. It doesn't have to like sit super low over my head either, because this is going to have a brim, so it can sit up a little higher. And you know what? For fun, I think in this next row, I'm going to work in some of this neon green. And I'll show you what I mean when I just say just start using it and then maybe stop using it. You can always like work tails in on the inside of your hat, because the inside of your hat doesn't show. And if you hold 2 strands together, it gives it a little added bit of strength, bit of stiffness, which is important because I want this cone not to be necessarily crazy tall, but I don't want it to be constantly falling down. So anytime I can add a little bit of extra strength around the hat, I'm going to take the opportunity to do that. And since this is sort of a goofy witch hat, I'm working in some brighter sort of Halloween colors, because I'm kind of thinking like this hat is for a witch who also clowns around on the weekend. I have no idea how many stitches are in each row. I am purposely not counting because I am giving my brain a break today. I just know that I'm crocheting in every single stitch. And it doesn't even matter to know how many stitches I have in each row when it comes to the decreasing part, because I'm just going to put the decreases in where I feel like they look like they should go. That's freestyling. Mama in Stitches likes to freestyle blankets. She just starts with a foundation chain that seems wide enough and just starts crocheting. Whatever stitch she's in the mood for, changes color when she's in the mood for it, changes back when she thinks that stripe's big enough, changes the stitch again, and she makes lots and lots of blankets like that, and they always turn out looking really neat. All right, I'm coming back around to the beginning again, and I'm going to work in a row with this, so still using black, but also using this neon green. And it looks something like this. Okay. So a little bit of slack on the big black ball of yarn. Why is this falling out? I thought I told you to stay in there. I might re-roll this on the yarn winder later, just so that I don't have any knots on the inside, but I will do that much later this afternoon. So there's a little slack. I'm going to get my green going now, this lovely neon green. All right, all I'm going to do is leave a tail, slip it over my hook, yarn over with the black one like I normally was doing, and hold them both together now. And I'm going to use, so I don't want that little short tail, I'm going to hold that one over here for a second, and half double crochet. All right, so now I'm going to work over top of that short tail just so it's worked in. I'm going to hold both these strands together like they're a single yarn. And I'm just going to half double crochet in each stitch all the way around, using both of those strands held together. And I'm going to keep that tension nice and tight. So the benefit of this, I'm going to work a little tighter, is that it's going to make this kind of, it's going to give a bit of strength to the hat at this point, which will be useful for the cone later on. It'll feel like it's got some foundation to sort of sit on. And I'll have some neon green in my witch hat. Linda's here. Hello, hello. Jessica Rabbit's got to check on the oven. Oh, people are cooking. I love this. Hi, everybody. Are we naming puppies? This is so fun. This is such great chatter on a Halloween afternoon. I love it. Holding two strands together will make this row a little thicker, a little taller, a little stronger, and it adds a bit of interest to the hat. So it gives it kind of like a bit of a tweedy look. I'm going to show you how to add some interesting texture later too. No sewing required. So I'm just going to do one row with this neon green before I switch back to just plain black again. But I will probably add in different colors as I go, because I can tell already that that's going to make this hat look like quirky. Your row count also doesn't matter. So I'm kind of calling out the number of rows I've done here and there, more for context than anything else, but the row count doesn't matter. If it takes you 10 rows to get to the right height before you start decreasing, fine. If it takes you 6 rows, great. It doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're constantly trying it on. You're making sure that you've got like a crown that's tall enough that once it starts to decrease, it won't like interfere with the hat sitting on your head. I think I might be able to start decreasing after this row, just because it's a little bigger than the rows that came before it, but I'm going to try it on and I'm going to see. You also don't have to do too many decreases. If you're like, you know what, I think I want to start decreasing, but I only want to decrease like 3 times to start closing in the top of the hat, well then you only do 3. If you want to do 5, you do 5. It's a freestyle. So you just keep trying it on. See how it feels. If you've got a mirror handy, you can always look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I like the way that looks. Or no, I think all right, I've decreased, but now I'm just going to work straight for like a couple rows. So the cone shape is created by, if you start wide at the bottom, you decrease in a row and then you work a couple rows of just straight single crochet. If you were working from the top down, you would start with increasing and then work a couple straight rows of single crochet. It's the rows of straight stitching in between increases or decreases that create the cone. So if you are starting big and you decrease for a row, like, 6 decreases. Then you don't decrease for 2 rows. You just go around and around. Then you maybe decrease 6 times, 4 times, 8 times, whatever you want. Then you just crochet all the way around without any decreasing for a couple of rows. And if you want a tall cone, the number of rows of just plain crocheting in between decreases makes it taller. If you want a shorter, squatter cone, then maybe you'd only put 1 row of regular crochet in before you decrease again. So freestyling is as much about kind of understanding sort of how to get a shape as it is about like just doing whatever feels right. So there I am all the way around. I am now going to snip just the green yarn with a longish tail. Pull that to the side. So I've snipped off my green yarn, and now I'm just going to crochet over top of it and keep going. So I'm still going to use the half double crochet stitch. But I'm back to just half double crocheting with my black yarn. And let me try on this hat. All right, so if I pull this to about, and remember, I'm going to put on a brim. Oops, dropping everything. Why is everything so roly-poly today? Come here, you. Oops. Even that wants to fall off. So my necklace has fallen off. My gravity is in full swing. Okay, where was I? Hat, right. If I want to put a brim on, I know my brim is going to sort of come down a little bit, so I don't want this to be right down on my eyebrows because I don't want my brim to be so low that I can't see, and then the decreasing to start too high so that my hat wants to sit heavy on my head. So I want this to sit like around the top of my ears, and I want that to kind of just like, I want there to be like a maybe like 2 fingers between my eyebrow and where the hat starts, because the brim is going to come down a little bit. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want this to sit up a little bit like a crown. So I can probably do like 4 decreases now, because if I do this and I press on the ends, I can feel that when I press on it, there's just a little bit of like extra, like it squirts out a little bit. Does that make sense? Like if I was to close it over, it's not, my head is starting to get smaller. So I can now do like, it feels like 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4 little decreases. Nothing major. I think, you know, if you're unsure, you just do this. You grab 4 little stitch markers, you fold your hat in half, you mark here, 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 and in the back. And that's where you do your 4 decreases. So you have 4 even decreases. You don't have to count. You don't have to count in between the stitches. You just decrease evenly that way. So I'm going to take out 1 stitch. I'm going to do a decrease. So I'm going to fold. I'm going to get 3 more stitch markers. I'll just get the whole jar. All right. So I'm going to fold my hat in half. So this is the back middle. So I'm going to put a stitch marker there just for the sake of argument. And then directly across from it would be the front middle, right? So you can sort of see there's the back and the front are now marked. And then I put 1 on either side. There. So I've more or less marked out 4 even spots around my hat, and now that's where I'm going to decrease. I don't have to count. I don't have to do any counting. So I'm back to just using black. I'm crocheting over top of that little tail. I'm going to half double crochet 2 stitches together because that's going to be my decrease. And then I'm just going to regularly half double crochet all the way around to the next marker. Where that next marker is, I will half double crochet 2 stitches together there. And then same thing, half double crochet to the next marker. At that marker, I'll half double crochet 2 stitches together, and so on. Elizabeth from Arizona is here. Hello! Hi everybody! Cherry says, why was there an ad during the live? Did you kind of come out and come back in again? I don't know. I didn't put an ad in there. Unless it's just, you know, me flapping my gums, talking about our Etsy shop. All right, so I'm to the first marker. I'm going to half double crochet 2 stitches together right where that marker was, so that's a decrease, and then keep half double crocheting around to the next marker. And I can see how, like, oh, I can even feel it. So that row where I added in the green is just so much stiffer, and that's great because that's going to help the cone have a foundation to sit on. So I'm going to do that every so often, I think. Not to mention it's going to look kind of nifty. Half double crochet these 2 stitches together. And this is, again, just so that they're more or less, I've decided I'm going to decrease 4 times. I might start to decrease a lot more as the hat gets taller, because I don't want this hat to be ridiculously tall. Obviously, the taller you make your hat, the more heavier it's going to be, so the more it's going to want to kind of just flop or flip to one side or squish a little bit. I think I'm going to make the top, I really want to make the top curl because I like that quirky little curl, because I think that makes it look extra kind of quirky, extra costumey, extra magical. And I'm coming around to my last marker, so this will be my last decrease of the row. I've used this little sort of decrease on the compass points concept before. So if you made like our mittens with us, I made mittens for the whole family. Sometimes when I do fingerless gloves, occasionally even the odd hat, I know that there needs to be like just a slight but even decreasing. And so I'll show you to, like, you know, mark the 4 compass points, and that's where you put your decrease. So you don't really have to worry about counting, because in the case like this, for example, the counts in between don't matter. You just want to evenly space out 4 decreases. So I've decreased 4 times around my hat, and I'm getting around to back to the beginning. I'm still trying to crochet as sort of snugly as I can. All right, I am back at the beginning. Yeah, I'll do one more. And then I'm going to try it on. So I've just, why are you rolling? Okay. So that's my first little row of decrease. And I want this to sort of fit over my ears, sit about 2 fingers above my eyebrows, and that feels better. So now when I press on the top, because I did those 4 even decreases, when I press along the top edge, it just feels like it hugs my head. But I don't want to keep going. If I was making a beanie, I'd probably decrease again. But because I want to make a cone, now I want to just crochet around for at least 2 rows, just regular crochet, no decreasing, because I want this cone shape to eventually grow. Now, I won't be only doing 4 decreases in the rows that I decrease. I'm going to start to become a little more aggressive with my decreases, aggressive decreasing, but not quite yet. I want to get past the head, so that you want to get sort of like, get something that sort of covers your head, and then you can start making the top kind of quirky. Maria, is this your self hat? Sorry, I was late. Self hat? I'm making, okay, so this is a witch hat. It's a freestyle hat. We are freestyling today. So this is some freestyle crochet. This is how you make a witch hat or a wizard hat. No counting stitches required. No counting rows required. This is freestyling. So you just start with whatever yarn you want, and whatever hook allows you to get a tight tension. So nice and snug, because you want tall conical hats. that are crocheted work best if the stitching is tight. If your stitching is loose, it makes it kind of floppy and sloppy and it won't sit up on your head. So stitch count doesn't matter. Start with a foundation chain, wrap it around your head, make sure that it goes all the way around. Start crocheting. Single crochets and or half double crochets. Those are the smaller, tighter stitches, so you can use both. You can use one or the other. I started with singles and I switched to half double crochets. I'm not joining my rows with a slip stitch. I'm not chaining one at the beginning of a row. I'm just crocheting in the round. You want to keep trying it on, see how you want it to kind of get up past your head and then start to turn it into a real cone. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can work in different colors as you go. You could just build the whole hat out of a single color and then just start decorating it. I'm going to put a brim on this hat, so I'm going to show you how to do that. But there are no rules, so you don't have to worry about specific stitch counts. You don't have to worry about specific row counts. This is just something that fits you or the head you want to make it for as accurately as you can make it. But it's a costume piece, so it's not. This is a great project to practice freestyle crocheting on. And freestyling just means, oh, I think I'll use this stitch. Oh, that stitch isn't working. I think I'll just switch to this stitch. Oh, you know what? I need to make it bigger. I need to make it smaller. I want to add in a color. I want to go back to a different color. I want to stop using this yarn altogether and switch to a new one. No rules. No rules crochet. And if you know how to chain and single crochet and half double crochet, then you can do this. You don't actually have to follow a specific tutorial. You just kind of follow the concept. And that's fun. That's fun because I think when we're following patterns, which are great, it's so nice to have the thinking done for us. But when you follow a pattern, there's also like just a little bit of tension there because you're like, oh, okay, have I got the right number of stitches? Did I do the right number of rows? Did I do too many? Do I have to take a row out? I don't have the right number of stitches. Where did I screw up? So when you're following a pattern, even though the thinking is done for you, you have to follow the pattern. And the more complicated the pattern, the more maybe tension there is. So if there is no pattern, just well, this feels right. Well, this looks right. Well, that feels okay. Well, that looks okay. Then, it's designed, that kind of freestyling is designed to kind of just take the pressure off, It's not to be taken seriously. You will end up with a hat at the end of this project. And it's a witch hat, so the goofier it looks, the better. I'm going to do 2 rows of half double crochet after my initial row of decrease. Then I'm going to try it back on, and I'm going to see like where it sits on my head and if I can do a more kind of aggressive bunch of decreases. I still probably won't do too many right off the bat, but I'm going to gradually shrink this hat into a cone. But in between my rows of decrease, I'm usually going to put in 2 rows of just regular stitching, no increasing or decreasing. Yeah. Maeve says she loves costumes. So do I. I love costuming. In fact, I have a university degree in theater, and most of that is costuming. I've always been into costuming. I've always been into making clothing, but I love costuming. I just love telling a story with clothes. Mandy says she made herself a witch hat a couple years ago, but she's not happy with it. She thinks she's going to make another. I recommend making another. Especially if the witch is the kind of costume you like to default to at Halloween. I think being a witch is a lot of fun. I think it's very freeing, We spend so much time being the nice, polite versions of ourselves. It's fun to dress up in a costume that lets you kind of blow off steam, be a little silly, maybe like, present yourself in a way that you would never do, like normally. Acting, right? It's fun. It's fun to kind of slip into a different character and leave yourself on the shelf for a little while. Some of you got a notification, some of you didn't. I think we struggle with the notifications because YouTube updates something and then maybe we don't update our software, or an update to the software collides with updates to the device that you're using, because your device software has its own software and its own set of updates, and not all these updates necessarily all play nice together. So you might have notifications working like one day and then they don't seem to work the next. And it's not necessarily YouTube's fault. It could be just other software interfering. For example, if you have like do not disturb on your phone or device because you turned it on and forgot, or you changed the hours that the do not disturb is on for and forgot, or you updated or turned it on and the device itself seems to think you're supposed to be on do not disturb, or it changed the hours that it thinks you should be on do not disturb. Any one of those scenarios could have happened for any reason, and that would stop you from getting a notification. So I'm definitely going to work in some more color here in a minute. I'm going to get past the part of my head where I think it's going to be like, I want to make sure that it sits on my head properly, and then I think I'm going to work in some purple. I might do a couple rows of the purple. I got to do some more decreasing. I like this green, and I'm definitely working in some of that orange. That will make it kind of like a heavier weight, but it'll make it stiffer. All right, that's 2 rows of half double crochet on top of my row of decreasing, pretty sure. Yep. So let's try this on. Oh my gosh, every time I put this down, it rolls. There we go. All right, so put 2 fingers above my eyebrows, just over my ears to keep it cozy. Nice and low around the back because my brim is going to come out the bottom a little bit. That is starting to feel good. Okay, sip of my pop. Yum. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my purple worked in, and because the purple's a thicker yarn, I'm going to do a couple rows with it, and I'm going to decrease in this next row because it will automatically be thicker. And I know that because when I worked in the green, I could feel it being thicker, which is fine, but I think I want to use the opportunity to decrease at a point where it could use a decrease. I think I'll just do another four evenly spaced decreases, but I'm going to do it on the row where I'm working in the purple because that's going to be a thicker row anyway. So I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to indicate my front, back, and 2 sides, and that will be where I roughly do my decreases. So I'm going to do 4 decreases again, evenly spaced out. And I'm going to work in some purple this time. Same thing, little bit of a tail. So I can take this out. I'm going to start with a decrease. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to go yarn over. And I'm going to work over top of that short tail. So I'm going to pick up a loop in each of the next stitches. And I'm going to work over top of that little tail. There. So I have just half double crochet 2 stitches together. Using my purple and my black held together, I'm going to half double crochet around to my first stitch marker and then decrease there. I'm working over top of my short tail so I don't actually have to weave it in later. And when I cut it, when I'm finished with it, I'll do the same thing. I'll just work over top of it. So far I don't have any tails to weave in either, and I'm still working in different colors. That's a win. I have 0 plans in particular for this hat other than to make it look like a witch hat. So I don't know how the striping is going to work out. I don't know what kind of decorations I'm going to put on it. I am just kind of going with it. I'm freestyling. Okay. I might just use up this little bit of purple. There's not a lot of it here. I'm going to decrease. Becky says the Halloween spooks might be throwing your things on the floor. I think you're right, Becky. I mean, I recognize gravity, but I don't normally notice it being this rambunctious. Now, what happened there? Okay. If you've got to pop in and pop out, no worries. This is a special Halloween stream. We are workshopping a witch hat using the freestyle method. So this is not your typical tutorial. This is a reason for us to sort of sit down and, snack on some of that Halloween candy and, maybe work on whatever last minute Halloween projects we want to work on. Maybe you're starting your Christmas stuff. Either way, we're hanging out. And if this helps kind of just put the freestyling bug in the back of your brain, then excellent. If we're just providing a little bit of company today, awesome. And if this is as close to a Halloween party as you're going to get, even cooler, because this is my Halloween party. I will be dressing up the living room a little later on, so that the right lights come through the window and I'm going to have right music on, kind of thing. But I also, more importantly, I want to bake. I want to make some tasty treats that aren't necessarily candy. I don't want to eat all the snacks that we have for the little ghosts and goblins. So I'm going to make our own. So I'm really looking forward to my afternoon. I'm kind of hanging out with you guys. I'm going to have myself a new witch hat. And then maybe, possibly, we'll have some trick-or-treaters later. But I don't know. It's pretty dastardly out there. Cherry's throwing around some compliments. Thank you, Cherry. That'll be my last decrease of the row. So again, I only did 4 decreases in this row. I'm sort of off to a slow start in the decreasing, but that's okay because I want this to kind of, it's very important that this hat fits my cranium first and foremost before I worry about it, turning into a cone, because a witch hat is conical. It's conical, but it's not a perfect cone. It doesn't have to be. Fima's here. Hi, Fima. Tammy says the purple looks like royal blue on her tablet. It might. This looks like a real royal purple here, but our tablets can pull up the colors a little differently depending on the lighting on our screens. You can also play with the lighting and the colors, I think, in your own screens. And if you've got if you've got the screen set for a particular skew, like to skew yellow or to skew blue, it'll change some of the colors that you see in a video. All right, so that's all the way around once with decreasing. I'm going to go all the way around again. I think I've got enough with this purple to just do, and if it runs out, I don't care. This is a freestyle witch hat. I'm going to continue just to half double crochet now. I'm not doing any decreases in this row, but I'm going to continue to do nice and snug and tight, because this tight, stiff stitching will make it strong so that the conical part of the hat will sit up a little better. And I like the purple and the black together. This is neat. And then I'm going to go back to black. I might just crochet with this until it runs out, it's going to run out. That's fine. That is fine. I will stop about 6 inches before, so I'll stop using the purple about 6 inches before it runs out, 15 centimeters or so. And then I'll just switch back to black only, and I'll just crochet right over top of that tail so that I don't have to weave it in and it doesn't want to come undone. Everybody's being so sweet. This is I really I appreciate the compliments. Thank you guys. I guess I should wear my hair in braids more often. I've got a little knot here. This turns into a different color of purple. Not that I care, because this is a quirky witch hat. I love the idea of a patchwork witch hat, the idea that the old crone living in the woods, who everybody says is a witch, but you know, she's just some poor old crone living in the woods. She's got this old hat that she just keeps patching. You know, she made it with whatever she had lying around because she just needed a hat. I like that idea. Okay, I want to make sure, so I've got this much blue left. I'm gonna just work over top of that tail now. So I'm going to stop crocheting with the 2 strands. I'm just going to go back to the black, and I'm just going to crochet right over top of that tail so that it is woven in and it doesn't want to come undone. And I'm crocheting as tightly as I can. I'm still using the half double crochet stitch. I've been mainly using the half double crochet stitch in this hat. I think I'll stick to the half double crochet stitch because it's going to make it like work up a little faster than it normally would if I was using single crochet. And as we narrow the hat, as we create more of a cone, the rows go faster and faster. So hats like this they seem to take a while up front, but then they go quicker and quicker as they get narrower and narrower. Lena, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family, Lena. Thank you for joining. And I'm going to get all the way around to the middle back again. I'm almost there, which means that I've done a solid row of just regular half double crochet after the row where I decreased, but only half this row has extra purple in it. Doesn't matter. We're freestyling this hat today. There we go. All right, so it is already starting. So if you look at it, if I hold it like this, you'll probably see that the bottom sits out a little bit wider than the top does. It's already starting to kind of turn into a bit of a cone. That is quite comfortable. Viva! Thank you so much. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. If you're going to make one of these, I want to see it. So already now I am starting to get past the top of my head. So if I have it sitting where I want, 2 fingers above my eyebrow, you can just barely see the top of my head. But of course that's the top, is the top part. I don't have a block head. Some people might argue that, but I don't have a block head. So my head, my cranium, our heads round out, right? So I could do another row of decreasing here. And I think I'll do another row of decrease with the half double crochets in black. Then I'll do 2 rows of just plain black and no decreasing, and that will really get me sort of away to that. That should get me past the top of my head, and then I can really start to turn it into a silly kind of crooked thing. So I'm going to do that thing again. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to mark the front, the back, and the 2 sides. So I've marked the front, the back, and the 2 sides with my stitch markers. So when I get to those stitch markers, I will decrease. That gives me 4 even decreases all the way around, so I don't have to count. Because again, I have no idea what number of stitches I have. I haven't even counted my rows lately, so I don't even know how many rows I have. Doesn't matter. We are freestyling a witch hat. What is important is how it looks and how it feels when you have it on your head. Thank you, guys. I was kind of trying to get a little bit of a Wednesday Addams sort of feel with the braids, but more importantly, I needed my hair out of the way so I could keep trying on a hat. And braids are good. Braids are good for that. They give you just a little bit of thickness, you know, so if your hair's all done, then your hat will still fit. So I'm going to decrease there. Another little decrease. You also, I think it needs to be said, in case you're unsure. So if you're ever unsure, the answer is yes, when it comes to freestyle. If you think to yourself, I feel like I should probably switch my hook, do it. Does it need to be bigger because your stitches are too tight or the yarn is too thick? Does it need to be smaller because your stitches are too loose or the yarn is too thin? You can change hooks midway in a freestyling project because it's freestyling. You can change stitch size midway through a freestyling project. Doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're going for something that looks right. You're kind of letting your heart, your creativity run the show, and brain gets to take a break. So that was my fourth decrease in this row. So when I get back to the end of the row, don't think I need to try it on. I think I'm just going to go straight into a couple rows of just straight crochet, no decreases. Then I will try it on, and then I will decide how aggressive to get with my decreases. Because I do want to turn it into, like, I want it to be tall, but I don't want to decrease too drastically. All right, all the way around again. And then I think at the end of this row, I will have cleared the top of my head so I can start to really turn it into a gnarly, goofy, conical witch hat. If you were using a heavier weight yarn, of course this would go a lot quicker. But I kind of want to use what I've got. It's also kind of fun to sit with you guys and crochet using black for a change. I don't have to show you what I'm doing, I just sort of have to tell you what I'm up to, because I have a lot of black yarn. I don't mind crocheting with black, especially in something like this where I don't really have to count my stitches or my rows. So being able to see the individual stitches isn't as important as, say, it might be for another kind of project. And I really do enjoy crocheting with black. I like to have black crocheted things. I like black lacy things, like if you've crocheted with black thread. I like, as much as I like kind of white things, I like the black things too. So this is fun. I like being able to make a black witch hat with a little bit of color here and there. Crocus says she has Halloween brains. Maeve says it's all about the aesthetic. Yes, that is correct. Freestyling is all about the aesthetic. Keep trying it on. If it's, you know, not tall enough, put in another row. If it's tall enough, you can decrease. You can aggressively decrease for a sudden skinny cone. You can regularly decrease for a more gradual cone. So there I am, 2 rows. Okay, I should definitely be past my top of my head. So about 2. That's good because my brim's going to come down here, and I also want it to kind of sit on top of my glasses. Yeah, we're past my head. Okay, so now I can do a more aggressive decrease. So instead of just doing 4 decreases, I think I might do 6 this time. I know, crazy, right? 6. So same thing, if you want to evenly distribute 6, you can go 2 in the front, 2 in the 2 in the back, 2 in the front, and 1 on either side. Again, you're just sort of trying to evenly distribute them. They don't have to be perfectly distributed. You're just evenly distributing them. So I'm just kind of I'll show you what this looks like in a second. Okay. Again. Okay, who is the little ghost that keeps knocking my hook off my table? I've got 6 in there now, so they're more or less evenly distributed, and I just did that by folding it in half and going 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 on either side, and it's even enough. They don't have to be perfect, and again, I don't want to count, so I'm going to do, this is only just a row with 6 decreases in it, and then a row or 2 of regular crochet. I might work in the orange yarn now or go back to the green, I'm not sure. So every time you add some decreases, of course, your stitch count goes down. I don't know what my stitch count is, doesn't matter, but it does make getting around the whole hat a little faster. So that's decrease number 1. Number 2. Jada, did you ever crochet with your eyes closed? Says Vima. I've tried it. I mean, I've crocheted in the dark, which is kind of the same thing, I guess. Yes, I have. I've crocheted blindfolded, just for fun, just to sort of see if I could do it. And it depends. If it's like a granny square, oh, I can do a granny square with my eyes closed. I don't move as fast, but I can do it because you're really just feeling your way around. You're feeling for the next sort of space between shells, and you're counting, right? So if you want to try challenging yourself, try making a granny square with your eyes shut. But yeah, I've done it. I've done it. It's not, I can't move as quickly. I like to be able to go fast. So I don't do it very often. All right, that's a row of decreasing. I think I'm gonna, do I work in the orange yet, or do I just, I think I'm gonna go back to green for a minute. I think I'm gonna work more of that green yarn in. Yes. So back to my lime green. And I'm starting with a decrease. No, I'm not starting with decrease. I'm not decreasing. I've already done decreasing. Don't need to decrease. Okay. Just regular half double crochet all the way around. I've decided to work in some of this lime green yarn for a row, maybe two. We shall see. And I'm working over top of the short tail so that I don't have to weave it in later. This is definitely feeling more like it's stable. If I put it down, so this is good. I don't know if you can see this. Probably not. But if I just rest it on my tabletop, it stays in a cone. It doesn't collapse in. So adding in like a row or two here and there where you just add in an extra strand alongside, and it doesn't have to be a different color. If you really want it to be all one color, you could just use the other end of the ball of the yarn you're using, or just another ball of the same color. But working in a row or two with two strands really helps to keep it strong. It keeps kind of, it's almost like running rebar through concrete. You're just reinforcing that fabric so that it is strong. It makes it a strong foundation so that the rest of the cone just stays up top on it. Knitting is easier without looking for me, says Mela. I don't think I've knit with, I don't think I could do that. I have not knit with my eyes shut, and I'm not sure that I could. That's impressive, Mela. You were doing it with single crochet, Vima. Wow. It is fun. I think it's easier, if you're going to try it, it's easier to do it obviously with a bigger hook and maybe bigger yarn, because you can kind of feel your way through it. And definitely, like, you're going to have to slow down. It's a fun challenge. You know, how much do your fingers know? How much are your eyes actually involved in crochet? Another thing too, you don't want your hat to be too tall necessarily. Not just for logistical purposes, like it's not going to want to stand up on you, but also, you know, you don't want it to be, you just don't want it to be too tall. I think a witch hat is, a witch hat is best if it's like maybe only 6 to 8 inches in height above your head, and that's at the max. And I think it looks cute if the top point kind of like rolls to the side or is a bit quirky or something. So you don't want it to be too insanely tall. I mean, that's my opinion. Maybe you do want a really tall over the top hat. That's cool too. I'm only going to do one row with the green. I'm going to snip my green yarn, not the black. Just put the green to the side again. And again, what is happening? Okay. I'm going to work over top of that little green tail and continue single or half double crocheting all the way around with the black. And that just weaves that little tail in without me actually having to weave it in. So crocheting over top of it. A little sip of pop. I see the laughing face. It is strange. I don't think I've ever had anything roll off my lap quite this much or this often while crocheting. And it's not like it's a crooked floor. I've got a perfectly flat little table in front of me, but for some reason things just want to fall and roll and fall and roll. All right, so after this row of just plain half double crochet, I'm going to decrease again because that'll have been 2 rows of straight stitching, and I'm going to decrease even more this time. So instead of 4 or 6, I'm going to decrease 8 times. And when you do even numbers of decreasing and you don't want to have to count, it's easy to just sort of split it into quadrants and then split those quadrants up again using your stitch markers. So you don't really have to think, you don't have to count, you just, when you get to a stitch marker, you make your decrease. Caroline just had your first trick-or-treater. Oh my gosh! Anybody else? Has anybody else had any? Caroline, what were they dressed up as? I want to know. I have a feeling, apparently, at least here, it sounds like the most popular outfit for the little girls this year is one of the, quote, K-pop demon hunters. Apparently that's a movie on Netflix or something. I haven't seen it. But they're like a K-pop girl band and they fight demons by night or something. Sounds kind of like, sounds like K-pop meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But apparently that's like the most popular girl costume this year. I don't know what they would look like. I wouldn't be able to tell you if they were a K-pop demon hunter because I haven't seen the show. But if they look like they're a K-pop group, then that might be my clue. It's the crafty ghost. It is Crocus. It's the crafty ghost that keeps knocking everything down. All right, so this, how am I doing? Oh, this is comfortable. This feels snug and stiff. All right, I'm going to now decrease 8 times. Yeah, I don't want this to be too insanely tall, so I'm going to decrease 8 times all the way around. So I'm going to, again, split it in half. I'll mark off the quadrants, and then I will mark off in between those. So there's 4, and now I'm going to put one in the middle of each of those. There. So that's 8. So that's going to very drastically reduce the cone shape. Maybe I should do 6 again. Is that too many? I think that's too many. And you know how I can tell that? Again, freestyling. I look at the space between the stitch markers, and I think I'm in my head. I take 1 stitch away, and I think, you know, that's going to end up being like a decrease and then like only 3 stitches and a decrease and only 3 stitches. So I feel like that might be too many. So I think I'll do 6 again. 6 is probably enough. I don't know how many stitches I have here, so I'm just kind of doing what looks right. So again, with the 6, I do 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 on either side. And I think that's a little better. There we go. More or less 6 even stitch markers. I will decrease when I get to them, and I'm still using the half double crochet. This is sort of my stitch of choice for this project. So here we go. Half double crochet 2 stitches together, that's my decrease, and then I zip around to the next one, half double crochet 2 stitches together, Caroline says it's 6:15 p.m. here in the UK. Not sure what he was, but some kind of monster? I'm totally out of touch these days. I totally hear that. 6:15. Yes, it is not quite that late here yet, obviously. But we will probably... It has to get dark before... or almost dark, which isn't a difficult thing, and when we've got weather like this today. So once it gets dark, they'll start to show up, if they even come. I'm not convinced that we're going to see a lot today. But I would like to have this done before they show up. All right, so another row of decreasing. I did 6 decreases all the way around. I've got 2 more left. Mandy says she grew up in the country, and her first trick-or-treating was when she was 16, probably because there was like no houses around. I don't discriminate against older kids either. I love it too when like older kids have got like they're escorting the younger kids, but they're also trick-or-treating with them. I love that. But I don't care. If you're gonna go to all the trouble of dressing up and going out and doing the exercise, doing all the work of going door to door, then I've got something for you. Okay, so another row of decreasing that is getting quite small. So I'm going to go crochet in every single stitch all the way around. And then I might work some orange yarn in. And then I think I'll be decreasing again. Actually, I might just do 1 row of straight stitching, and then I might do a row of decreasing with the orange yarn. Because I need to find out how tall this is getting. I'm feeling my way around as much as I'm looking at what I'm doing, because this is black yarn, so the stitches in black are against the stitches in black on the other side of the hat. But it's getting faster and faster to get around a row. And I'm glad I went with the half double crochet stitch. Also, as this gets bigger, I notice that I'm resting it on the little table more. So as opposed to sort of like working in the air, I'm actually letting it kind of rest on the table as I go around and around. It's getting bigger. Okay, let's try this on. So, definitely, a little bit up here. Definitely want to do another row of decreasing. So I want to get, now I'm going to start to be like a little more, I'm going to decrease maybe every other row. I don't know. Does it matter? I'll do 6 decreases in this row. I'm going to start with, I'm also going to work in my orange for a row. So let's do this, and then I'll do this, and I will start with a decrease. So I'm holding 2 strands of yarn together, my orange and my black, and that was a decrease. I want to do maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so like 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6. So now I'm just evenly spacing them. So where I've joined my yarn, I've already decreased. So now there's 5 additional stitch markers. So that's going to be 6. But instead of just folding the hat now, it's so small all the way around that I can kind of just eyeball it. But still, I don't want to count. I just want it to like be generally even. So I'm decreasing 6 times still. And I'm using 2 yarns held together. I'm trying not to drop a strand while I crochet. It's not really a big deal if you do, but I'm just trying not to. Hello, hello. If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Happy Halloween. We are exploring the art of freestyle crochet today, and we decided we would apply freestyle to a witch hat. Nice little costume piece. You can also just make a wizard hat if you want. You don't have to put a brim on it. So a witch hat has a big wide brim. A wizard hat doesn't really have a brim at all. But both of them are conical shaped, and both of them can be quirky and crazy colored and have appliques and beads and sequins and whatever else you might want to throw on them. Sky's the limit because it's a costume. There is no stitch count. There is no row count. You can use whatever stitch you like. You can use whatever hook you like. You can use whatever yarn you like. I'll probably include some notes in the description box once this live stream has completed, just so if you want some quick pointers, they'll be in the description box. And also I'll put chapters in, so if you want to sort of you know, if I'm talking about a specific, you know, technique or something, I'll make sure that that's highlighted so that you can jump to it if you want. And then this is sort of like a little, kind of like a little workshop you can come back to later. All right, so I've decreased again. I've added in some orange. Oh, I really like this. This is looking good. I like it. I'm going to snip my orange yarn, but not my black yarn. I'll probably work that in again later. And I will just work over top of that tail. I'm continuing to half double crochet. And I'm going to crochet as tightly as I can. Yes, this definitely wants to stand up on its own, so that's good. Adding in the extra row, like, or I should say adding in the extra strand of crochet every so often gives it a fun visual look with the color, but it also makes it stiff. And I want that. It will keep this hat standing up straight and tall on my head until I want it to be. Like, I can kind of tell it where to be quirky and bent as opposed to it trying to do it itself. Happy Halloween, Laura! Happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It is a Halloween special. It's kind of like our own little Halloween party. And I hope that this is maybe even just company, like you kind of toss it on in the background while you're doing some cooking or some prepping, getting that bowl full of treats ready to go. I think more and more people are doing, like, especially if you live kind of in the country like we do, a lot of people, some kids still go door to door, which is perfectly fine, but I think a lot of people are kind of opting for parties as opposed to outright door to door trick or treating, or they do like a little bit of like a few doors and then they just kind of go back to kind of having a little party on the inside. I think that's fun. I know it's certainly it's you can show off a costume better at a party as opposed to, you know, especially here when it can be so cold and crappy sometimes. It's a lot more fun to like just wear a costume indoors, and then, you know, there's like plenty of snacks and stuff. You can always make pretty treat bags for everybody. You don't have to have them going door to door, and going door to door it's fun, but you know, the kids often get sick the day or so later because they were tired, they got cold, they got wet and cold and tired. So I like the idea of having parties. Some of you still have flowers blooming. Oh, that's nice. All of our leaves are just about done and down at this point. We had several weeks of really pretty color changing, but that's pretty much done now. All right, I think I'm going to do another row of decreasing. I think I'm going to try and alternate like a row of increase, or I should say a row of decrease, a row of regular crochet, a row of decrease, a row of regular crochet now, because I want this to, it's still going to get taller, but I want it to get skinnier faster. So let's see here. There it is over there. I'm going to finish this row and then start decreasing again. And I think I'm going to stick with the 6 decreases per row. I feel like that's pretty even. I never once paid attention to stitch count. I haven't counted once. This has been quite a nice little break for my brain. So how are we doing here? This is feeling, see how it's just completely stands up? It doesn't want to flop to one side or the other. It's because whenever I would add in an extra yarn with like the different color, but I would actually add it in and crochet as tightly as I could, it creates almost, like I said, rebar through concrete. It is this stiff row that the rest of the rows can kind of stand on like a foundation. So this allows you to, like, yeah, it's going to look like a wizard hat until I put the brim on. So I'm going to decrease again 6 times. So I will just eyeball this because it's getting small. And that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay. 6 stitch markers indicating where I'm going to decrease. I'm going to start with one, and now I think I'm going to go a row of decrease, a row of regular crochet, a row of decrease, a row of regular crochet, because now I want it to decrease quickly. I want it to get skinnier faster. Yeah. Okay, so that was a row of decrease. You can see there's a definite like cone shape happening here. Another row of just regular crochet, and then I will decrease, and then I will regular crochet, and then I will decrease. Because now I want that cone to kind of pull in faster, to be skinnier, quicker. Tina says, I can't wait to see it finished. You know what? Honestly, Tina, me too. I'm trying to crochet as quickly as I can because I'm getting excited here. As something starts to take shape, you know, you can sort of, it's clear. You can kind of, oh, okay, I see where the direction this is going in. For example, I like how I've been sort of interspersing the colors. Not only is that like a construction choice because it makes it like a little stronger here and there, but I like working in those weird Halloween-y colors. The secondary colors, honestly, that's all they are. Red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors, and green, purple, and orange are the secondary colors, and somehow those colors got associated with Halloween, I guess because they're kind of quirky. They don't really clash. They just look sort of interesting together, I guess. I don't know. So you can't see what I'm doing because I'm sort of resting it on the table as I work. So I'm going to try and pick it up as often as I can now. So just so I'm not, you're not just staring at me, staring down. All right, so I've gone around again. I think I'm going to do a row now of decrease at 6 decreases with my green yarn again. I'm going to, is anybody counting how many times this hook has fallen on the floor? Tina says, I wonder how it would be with some of that glow-in-the-dark yarn worked in. I bet it would look cool. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. Because if you were fully in the dark and it was fully charged, you'd just see some, like, stripes floating around. I think that would be so cool. Mr. Insist just says 5 or 6. And what is that in relation to? Oh my gosh, Tina says she should be out milking her goats. That is so cute. I'm going to start with a decrease. So loop of that, a loop of this. And I'm going to start with a decrease. I'm going to work my green yarn in. Okay, so green yarn is now attached. I want 5 more decreases, so that's my first one. Let's do this, this, this. Gotta get another one in there somewhere. So I'm just fiddling, I'm eyeballing it so that I can get 6 more or less evenly spaced. They don't have to be perfectly evenly spaced, but just more or less evenly spaced. Decreases. So I'm going to work over top of that short tail. I'm going to do a row of decreasing with an added strand of yarn. So this neon green. And decrease. At some point, I'm also probably just going to crochet a long tube. I think I want the end to be kind of long and tubular so I can kind of roll it down and make it like a, almost like a Dr. Seuss looking kind of tree. Oh my gosh, Fima, that's a good point. Maybe Mr. Stitches has an invisible thread tied to the hook and has been pulling it now and then trying to scare you. Yeah, I could see him doing that. Maybe it's my great-grandmother hanging about. She was quite the crocheter. Maybe she's trying to snatch the hook away from me because she wants to make a hat too. This has been really fun to work on. I did not know how it was going to look before I started. I knew the general shape of the hat because I've made witch hats before, but I've never really freestyled one. So this has been a tremendous amount of fun to apply all the freestyling kind of techniques to this hat. And I think it's working out really well. So that's it for the green again. I'm going to do just a row of half double crochet now with the black. Working over top of that little tail so I can weave it in as I go. And then I think I'm going to do another row of decreasing, so I'm just going to kind of alternate between a row of decrease and a row of just regular crochet, a row of decrease, a row of regular crochet, and that should turn this into a tight little point rather soon, because every row is shorter than the last. I still don't know how many stitches there are, and I'm still not counting. This is reminding me of something, but I can't think of what. Maybe like a striped Halloween sock, says Amanda. Yes. What could this be? Is it the colors? Probably the colors. Striped Halloween socks? I mean, black, orange, green, and purple are classic Halloween colors. So it might be something from your childhood. Might be a candy wrapper of some sort. Booga 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 from Destiny. All right, another row of decreasing. I think I'm just going to free hand it now. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's like 3 stitches in between. So I will count for the first time, sort of. I'm going to put 3 regular stitches in between decreases. And that's just because I feel like that's what looks like it would be evenly distributed. At this point, the hat is getting so narrow that I can kind of eyeball by number of stitches as opposed to needing my stitch markers. And if I only get in 5, doesn't really matter. I think I'm going to get all 6 though. Oh my gosh, I think that worked out perfectly. Wow. All right. So I'm going to go around again, just regular crochet. How tall is this getting? It now, oh. I'm going to go up high and then roll down the end. And I think I might even hang a charm off of it. And you know what else? It's quite cozy. Like I can kind of pull it down over the top of my ears. It definitely wants to stay put. So if you were making this into a wizard cap, let's say you're making it all blue or something and you were going to put white stars all over it, it stands up. It stands up. So, so another row of just regular half double crochet, and then I think I'm going to do I'm gonna decrease rather. I'm gonna, instead of 6, I'm gonna do like 8 because I think now I want it to get super skinny. So I think I'm going to maybe even more. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go decrease half double crochet, decrease half double crochet all the way around for my next row, so that I get it really, really skinny. It is pouring out there. I don't think I'm going to see I'm not going to see any of the regular goblins and ghouls tonight. I think that is I think the Halloween celebrations are going to be inside. Okay, I'm going to do decrease, regular half double crochet, decrease, regular half double crochet, decrease, regular half double crochet, decrease, regular half double crochet. Oh, and let me pick your brains, my friends. I've got a can of pumpkin that I would like to use up. I would like it if you put your favorite pumpkin baking recipes, or really any pumpkin recipe, in the comment section down below. You don't have to include the recipe. Just tell me what it is. I'll look it up, and I'd like, because I tend to do the same things over and over again. I make a pie. I make a pumpkin bread. I make, the usual things, maybe even like pumpkin pancakes or a pumpkin smoothie. But I think I'd like to try something a little different. So if you've got pumpkin recipes, please leave them down in the chat, and I might try one. Okay, I've gone all the way around. I really decreased a lot. I think I might just do one more. Okay, so now it's pretty, so there we go. I'm going to show you this. It's pretty narrow now around the top. So I think I'm going to do a couple rows. I'm going to go all the way around again, just regular half double crochet. And then I'm going to do another row with some decreasing, because I think I want it to be just a little bit skinnier. And then I'm gonna kind of crochet for a while in like a bit of a tube shape, because I think I want to roll it down, like to kind of roll it like like a Dr. Seuss tree looks. What do we got here? Oh my God, I love you guys. Pumpkin cheesecake. Oh, I think I have what I need for that too. Pumpkin roll, pumpkin roll, pumpkin roll. That's two of you saying pumpkin roll. Is pumpkin roll like rolled bread? Is it a sweet treat? Pumpkin nut cookies. Oh, Robin, those sound so good. Pumpkin chocolate chip. Seriously? Sherry, that sounds good. Mini pumpkin caramel pies. Oh, none, says Jessica Rabbit. Pumpkin banana bread for my mister. Although, also pumpkin cinnamon rolls. Pumpkin cinnamon rolls. Oh, I see we're buffering. Oh, we're back. Pumpkin delight? What's that, Victoria? That sounds delicious. Pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. Okay, that's a second pumpkin chocolate. Pumpkin roll or pumpkin loaf? No, not the pumpkin, says Laura. White chocolate pumpkin cream cheese blondies. Oh, these sound great. Well, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that. A little bit of yummy pumpkin baking. I love to bake, especially this time of year. It's so much fun. So I want to try a new recipe with my tin of pumpkin. It's time to use it up. I've had it up there for a couple months now, so I like to kind of go through my canned foods. I'm going to work in a row with the orange. I'm going to do a couple of decreases. So yarn over for you. Yarn over for you. And I think we'll just decrease 4 times. Okay. So I think that's it for decreasing. Because now I have a nice narrow little cone, and I'm going to build on it for a little while. I think, will I? No, I think I'm going to cut the orange there. And then I'm just going to go with black for a little while longer. Pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. Pumpkin roll is a cake or a sweet cream with sweet cream cheese inside rolled up. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. Pumpkin roll. That sounds amazing. Yum. All right, so now I'm going to just crochet around and around and around for like several rows here because I want the top to be kind of long so that I can roll it down. So before I close up the top, and it's pretty narrow now, I'm just going to go around and around and around a few times so that I can kind of like bend it, make it look a little kind of crooked at the top. So that's it for adding, I think, in extra yarn colors. I'm pretty sure this little beauty is going to stand up on its own. And then all I have to do is add in the brim. Brim doesn't have to be super wide, but the wider I make it, the more it'll look kind of like a fancy witch hat. I think a wide brim makes a hat look fancy somehow, and a shorter brim makes it look a little more sporty. So I don't know if you want a sporty witch hat. Pumpkin cream cheese crunch muffins. What is the crunch in a pumpkin cream cheese crunch muffin? And is that like a reference to Halloween? These sound so good, you guys. Definitely doing something tonight. All right, so I'm going to do a few rows now of just like it being this kind of narrow thing, and then I'm going to just go right up to a point, and I'm going to try to pull the point kind of to one side. I mean, this thing's going to stand up all on its own. Look at this. Maybe I will decrease again so that it's even skinnier. Why not? This is freestyling. There are no rules here. So I'm just decreasing around again just to make it even skinnier, because this is just working out so nicely that it's like it stands up straight. I don't have to stuff it. This is great. I think I will decrease again because I want it to, I think now I'm just going to bring it to a point. So and as I bring it to a point, I'm going to pick something, and I actually have some even heavier things. Like I have some kind of nifty big bead-like things, almost like pendants, that I was thinking would look kind of neat hanging off the top of the hat, but I wasn't sure it would work because I thought it might be too heavy. But since this is so stiff, I think I might be able to get away with one of the heavier ones. And it's already getting a little more difficult to control because the opening is getting small, so that's good. We are almost finished the cone part of this witch hat. A witch hat made and designed in real time. So now I'm just half double crocheting around like a post. As I get close to the top, I'm not even like trying to half double crochet 2 stitches together properly. I'm just half double crocheting around a post because that kind of also helps to decrease really quickly. And I think I've got a pretty good point now. Maybe one more. And that's it. So far, one string that I need to weave in. Oh my gosh. So, what have we got? Here's the back. Sits up on its own. Okay. What have I got? I really want to use this thing. This is a glass pendant. It is like obviously kind of on the heavy side, but don't you think it would look kind of neat hanging off the top of my hat? I wonder if I can do this and if it'll stay. Let's try that. I'm going to use my yarn needle, and because it's kind of like it'll kind of pull down the top a little bit, like to kind of make it you know, like I want that little Dr. Seuss, you know what I'm talking about, that little kind of, just so the top of the hat kind of goes pew, because I think that's kind of cute. So I'm going to just use that tail that I fastened off with and to just sew this pendant, this big glass pendant to it, because it's, oh my gosh, yes, yes. Uh-huh. Yes, okay. Let me just knot this and pull this little tail into the inside of my hat. Just heavy enough to kind of weigh the top down and make it like a little on the Dr. Seuss kind of, you know, quirky side. And I'm just going to pull this tail into the hat. Okay, so first off, I've put on my first little decoration, and this thing wants to, like, I can pull it down, or it'll just sit and sort of bobble at the top. And it's funny. I'm not even sure if you can see it. Yeah. Right now, this is very wizardy, very wizard hat, you know, like kind of like the old wizard with his nightcap. It almost looks like a nightcap because we don't have a brim on it yet. I like that. I can pull it down. I can have it stand straight up. Yeah, okay. So this hat has a lot of flexibility so far. So I really think that's cute with it sort of kind of falling over to the side. I can make it go this way too. Yeah. There we go. So that's cute. Okay. Sits up like a cone. Let's put on a brim. Oh, let me see. Oh, and add a little web. Mave. A little web. Yeah, between like the peak. I could do that. I might have to do it later and like attach it. I love that idea. I'll have to make one. I'll have to make one probably in thread. I think I might do that. This hat might evolve. Let's jump to the brim of it though, because we are kind of getting a little long on time here, although I do like a long party. I'm going to do some of the similar things at the bottom. So in order to get a brim, you have options. If you want a ripply brim, you do 2 stitches in every foundation chain, and then 2 stitches in each of those, and then 2 stitches in each of those, and that just really makes it crazy ripply. The fewer stitches you use in each successive row will make it less ripply. If you want it to be flat, I like to start with, like, it depends. It depends on your tension. It depends on if you're going to use 2 strands. There isn't necessarily, like, sometimes 2 stitches in each row is enough, but that might set you up to be too wiggly. So I like to do an increase every 1 or 2 stitches. So increase 1, 1, increase 1, 1, something like that, because that just sort of helps to make it do this. You can always continue to increase, and that will make your brim like sit out flat. But it depends. You might want to get an increase in, sit it down, see if it sits out flat. I'm going to use half double crochets again. I'm going to start with, am I going to do 2 colors held together? Maybe I will. Wait, if I do that, I'll have to change the number of increases. All right, I'm going to, or I should say 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. So I'm not doing an increase in every stitch. I'm not doing an increase in every other stitch. I'm kind of doing it every 3rd stitch. I think that might be enough, because if I work a row of extra yarn like I was doing throughout the hat into the brim to make it strong, it's also going to make it, like, I don't want it to be ripply. Do you know what I mean? I'm also not sure how many rows out I'm going to make the brim. We are freestyling after all. There is no road map here. Dr. Zeus. Yes, very Dr. Zeus. The crunch is brown sugar, browned butter, toasted pecans, and a little flour mixed and sprinkled on top of the muffins. Oh, Destiny, those sound so good. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I may be making a few different peanut pumpkin dishes today. Pumpkin. All right, let me get all the way around with a row of increasing. Is this going to be enough? What you want is for your first row, preferably, to sit straight out. And I think this is going to do that. So I'm going to continue with an increase and then half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. I'm just going to keep with that little pattern because I think that's working. Again, it's the yarn, it's the hook, it's my tension. I don't know how many rows I'm going to put on this brim, but I have a feeling that I'm going to do the last row worked over top of this craft wire I have here. Like I said, you could use pipe cleaners as well. The craft wire will help kind of give the brim a bit of strength and also let you bend it into like you can bend it and make it look crazy if you want, or keep it looking really smooth. Pipe cleaners are probably a little easier to work with because you don't have to get wire snips out or anything. And obviously if you're making this for a child, I wouldn't recommend putting anything in the brim just because you don't want to run the risk of them kind of rough housing with it and maybe like a pokey end coming out and getting somebody in the eye. We don't want that. So just add the flexible wire to the brim if you're making it for an adult. And you may not even need to add it at all, especially if you don't make too many rows on the hat. Like if your brim is short rather than several rows. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do yet. Still figuring it out. Yeah, we buffered a little bit. I noticed the buffering earlier, Joanne. I guess it's just we've been going for a while and could be the weather too. I think the squirrels may have, actually no, the squirrels are still up. I've seen the squirrels. So the squirrels could still be out causing mischief, but I think if anything it might be the weather because it is kind of nasty out there. So I'm increasing every 3 stitches and Crocus is off. All right, take care, Crocus. And if it's buffering, don't worry, it should probably come back. It might do that every so often. If it does it for a while, just hit the refresh button. I'm pretty sure this is going to be... So whatever, if you want to keep, if you figure out what your increase pattern is to get your brim to start going straight out, the next row doesn't have to be, what you want to do for the next row is keep the same number of increases. So for example, if you increased, like an increase, stitch, stitch, increase, stitch, stitch, increase, the next row would be increase, stitch, 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 increase, stitch, 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 so 3. And then the next one would be increase, stitch, 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 so 4. And then increase, 5, increase, 5. So like every row you're just adding 1 stitch in between your increases, so the number of increases in the row is the same. That kind of keeps that flat, even sort of It keeps it going, but this is freestyle. So if you notice that for some reason, you know, it's not sticking out straight enough, add some more increases in. If it's starting to ripple, don't add any more increases, or reduce the number of increases you're adding in. And like I said, if you want to add in, so I'm not going to join my rows with a slip stitch. I'm going to just continue to crochet in the round for the brim as well. So I'm back at where my stitch marker was. So I'm going to just put a half double crochet in there to complete that row. Maybe a single crochet. I might join that row with a single crochet. And then I'll switch back to half double crochet, because why not? So I'm going to put it down on my table and make sure that the little brim row I just did wants to sit flat on the table, and it does. And by that I mean, like, it's not rippling around the hat. It's not trying to curl up because it's not got enough increases. And it's not like rippling around the table. It's just lying flat, straight out. Like the hat comes down and goes straight out. So I've got the right number of increases on the hat. So now I'm going to go around again with the same number of increases. And let's see here. So that's 2, 1, 2, 3. I don't care if my increases line up from the previous row. And like I said, don't worry too much about the counting. You're just kind of like aiming to get it roughly the same as the last. Roughly the same number of increases. And so for me, that means that there are now 3 regular stitches in between increases. I can already see that this is going to work out. Okay. I'm going to get this row finished, and then I will put it on, and we'll see how wide the brim is, because the brim can surprise you. It can sneak up on you. It's hard not to smile when you see a project like working out right in front of your eyes. You're like, yeah, I didn't know it was going to look like this, but I like it. When you freestyle, you kind of let the project dictate to you what it's going to do. So for example, I didn't know how I was going to use these other colors of yarn, or if I was going to use them at all. But then, you know, it made sense to work them in for a row here and there for strength. But also I liked kind of alternating the colors. I really like that green. I only had a little bit of purple, so I only used it like once. That's fine. The orange got in there a couple times. I don't think I'm going to put, well, I might put color in the brim. I don't know. I'll just wait until it tells me what it wants. Okay. This is, And you know what? If you feel like it's starting to ripple on you a little too much, like I'm going to finish with this row and I'm going to see if it wants to lie flat, and if it's rippling a little bit, I'll reduce the number of decreases. I might even do a row where I should reduce the number of increases. I might even do a row where I don't increase at all. That'll probably be the last row actually. Just feeling our way through it. Does it look right? Does it look the way we want? Definitely, I'm going to say I used about maybe 175 yards so far in today's tutorial. So I think when I said originally like budget 200 yards of yarn, I think that's pretty accurate. I think you can get a decent sized witch hat with 200 yards, and you probably won't even need that much. I know that the brim's going to take up a little bit, but of course if you're starting from the bottom and you're working your way up, your hat gets narrower, which means it's using less yarn. So okay, so I've worked my way all the way around. Let's put this, oh yeah, so this is already starting to ripple a little bit. That's okay, actually that's not that bad, but I definitely don't want to do any more increase. Boy, when you like something, you like something. Okay. Okay, hang on. See here. So right away, you can see my little brim starting. I don't think I need to make my brim too deep. I definitely want to come out at least 2, maybe 3 more rows. I love the feel of this thing kind of whacking around up there. That is really funny. I just... okay, so I think I'm going to continue with this same increase pattern. Now there'll be 4 stitches in between my increases, and I might skip the odd increase just because it feels like it's starting to ripple a little bit. So at least 3 more rows, possibly 2 rows with increases and 1 row with no increasing whatsoever. But I'm going to get 2 more rows in, and then we'll take a look and see where we're at. I think I'm also going to put a little stitch marker right at the beginning of the row because it's becoming harder and harder for me to tell. I'm actually now alternating how many stitches are in between my increases just because I don't want this to get too ripply. So now I'm doing like an increase and then 4 regular stitches and then an increase and 6 regular stitches and then an increase and 4 regular stitches and then an increase in 6 regular stitches. Just to kind of slow down the amount of increasing my hat brim is getting because I don't want it to get terribly ripply. I don't know how many increases that'll be in total. It doesn't matter. This is just like, does it look like it needs more? Does it look like it needs less? That's kind of how you figure out how many you need. Yeah, see how it wants to ripple a little bit? So I'm decreasing the number of increases I do around because I want it to stay flat. I don't want it to ripple, but adding in the craft wire will help with that. I might just do an increase every 8 stitches for the next row because this is looking a little ripply. Not that that's gonna drive me crazy, but I just don't want a ripply brim. I'd rather have a flat brim. And I think one more increase for this row, and then I'm back at my stitch marker. I'm going to try it on again. I might just do a row of very, very, very gradual, there we go, increases, if any at all. And then I think that'll be one more row, and that'll be my hat. Again! Again! I need a counter. How many times has this thing rolled off my little table here? So I can make this, so my brim is getting a little ripply, so I think I might just do, I want it to flatten out, so I might just do a row of just straight half double crochet all the way around because I don't want it to be too ripply. Robin says, I wish I could see what your hands are doing. I'm just half double crocheting, Robin. Literally, that's it. Freestyling, I'm just half double crocheting, that's it. Adding in the odd little increase and then just regular half double crochet. You probably couldn't see what I was doing anyway because I'm using black yarn, but that's the whole point of today's sort of workshop. We're just freestyling a hat. So because it's rippling, and you guys can really see that that's rippling, I don't want to increase it all in this row of half double crochet, so I'm just going to half double crochet in every single stitch all the way around again. And I'm keeping a stitch marker on that first stitch, just kind of so I know where the beginning is, because when I get really going, I kind of get carried away, and I don't want to just keep, I don't want to overshoot that first stitch again, because I want to double check now to see if like, if it's still rippling. And also I might be putting on a final row shortly, and I might be working over top of some wire. I also might not need the wire. I'm kind of thinking that if my brim is just, if I do a really stiff row of single crochet, I might not actually need to do, I might not actually need the wire, which would be great, because also if you get a hat finished and you realize that your brim is like, you can go and just put the wire in afterwards. You can just cut wire so that it's the same circumference, just lay it down around the outer edge of your brim, and then grab some yarn and you're just single crocheting over top of it to the last row. So you can do that. So if your hat starts to get sloppy floppy over time, let's say it was nice and stiff when you first made it, but then, like, you know, after a little bit of wear, it starts to be like the brim is just too floppy, you can go in and add a row of single crochet on the last row and crochet over top of some pipe cleaners or some craft wire, and then that craft wire will add it some stiffness, and you can also bend the brim into certain shapes. Carol likes a little bit of ripple. Yes. If you like the ripple, go with the ripple. I'm going to have a little ripple in this hat. I just don't want too much of it. So that's why I'm doing a row of just straight single crochet, or straight half double crochet. And then I might do another row of straight half double crochet, and that should like just pull it up a little bit into the brim. And then I think it's done. I might not need the craft wire. Everybody likes the ripple. Okay. A tight row of slip stitch at the end makes it stiff too. I did that on a hat. Yes, Amanda, absolutely. Tight row of, and you know what would be cute too, if you did like a row of slip stitching with one of the other colors, just to kind of give the brim a little bit of pizzazz. And I think I might do that. I don't know. Again, freestyle. I'm going to get there and see what it needs. Joanne says it looks really nice with a bit of ripple. Ripple adds character, says Destiny. Yes, Regina says Witch's hat have wide brims too. Yeah, Witch's hats can have short brims, wide brims. I mean, you know, what kind of a witch costume are you making? Is it like, I think an elegant witch hat would have a really wide brim. I think a goofy, sporty witch hat would have a short brim. I think like it just depends on the kind of look you want. Also, like if you want that brimmed, if you want a really wide brim, you're probably going to need the craft wire or a stiffening agent of some kind at the edge of your brim, because that will help your brim stay out so it's not flapping in your face. Yeah, witch's choice is Destiny. Exactly, witch's choice. I don't know how many stitches are going to wind up in my last row. I didn't really count at all. The only counting I did in this project was like when I was doing some increasing or decreasing. I was maybe counting a few stitches in between just to kind of make sure that the increases or decreases were evenly spaced out. If you increase or decrease too much, like too close together, and then not enough on the other side, if you're working in the round, you'll get like weird bulging, which could totally work depending on the kind of witch hat or shape you're looking for. But in a case where I want things to kind of be like evenly distributed, I tried to make them all evenly spaced out. So coming around here, I'm going to try it on again. I like this brim. This brim is starting to look very comfortable. I want a hat that I can wear that has a brim that sticks out, but not necessarily too big or too floppy. I don't want a floppy brimmed witch hat. Samantha's back in the chat. Hello, hello. If you've been in and out today, thanks for spending some time with us. This is a Halloween special. It's a Halloween party. We are doing some freestyle and crochet. This is the perfect kind of project for freestyle crochet. Like I said, after today's stream is finished, I'm going to put some tips and notes in the description box because there's no real pattern here. So if you want to try this for yourself, then I'm just going to summarize kind of the concept, and I'll add some chapters to the tutorial so that if you wanted to kind of hear a particular description of something, I'll try and find it. I know we're getting into kind of like a long, bit of a marathon here, but it's a party. We're hanging out. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning. Let's see here. I'll go back, I'll go over a couple of stitches. There we go. So, I definitely can go another row without any increasing and have it stand out a little more. So the ripple is, I really like this hat. This is so cute. Oh my gosh. I think another row of half double crochet. I don't think I'm going to do any increasing or decreasing. This is so fun. Oh my gosh. And then I think that might be it. I don't think I need to add any wire to this, gang. I think, so I'm going to mark that front of my, so I'm just going to go half double crochet all the way around again. I'm just going to loosen up ever so slightly. Like I'm not going to be as tight, just so I don't end up with, because I've not increased, I didn't increase in the last row because I didn't want to encourage the ripple any further. And I'm not really increasing in this row. I'm going to crochet a little looser just so there's a little bit of give between the stitches. That way I don't actually have to increase, but I don't have to, like, I won't have it, it should still lay flat. I will be wearing this hat later today. I've goofed around as a clown long enough. I do like my clown costume. I'll be wearing that in the future. I think that is like the perfect little, my little clown hat and clown collar is the perfect little, like, go to a party kind of outfit because it's really easy to wear. It's lightweight. It's not super hot. This is quite a warm hat. If I was out for a stroll on a cool October evening, this would be the perfect hat to wear because it is quite warm. It's also quite seasonal. Samantha's wondering how long this stream is going to be. I don't know. It will be as long as it winds up being. This was a freestyling witch hat workshop today, and I just sat down with all of you and built it from scratch. So I crochet relatively quickly, but I think also, like, I took time to kind of think my way through things. So this is a real-time build of something like a crochet witch hat. using a smaller hook. Obviously, if you use heavier weight yarn and a bigger hook, or you know, two strands held together throughout, it's going to come together way faster because it's going to be so much. You're dealing with like bigger stitches and fewer of them. But I really wanted to make a witch hat that was like really had a strong costume look, like not like not like I rushed through it. Does that make sense? Like I wanted it to be like a really nice hat. Something I'll look forward to like wearing in, you know, like for a witch costume down the road, and maybe design different witch costumes around it. If you have to dip out, thank you so much for being here and spending some time with me today, with all of us. This has been a lovely little group. I know that we're all just kind of like, you know, some of us are doing our own thing. Some of us are just, you know, doing completely different stuff. I love that you're here. That is the best part. I love that we're just sort of hanging out together. It's a little Halloween party. And the best part about this party is that we are in our own little homes and nobody had to go out and get wet and cold. And you can do whatever you want. You can be in your pajamas, you can be all dolled up, you can be cooking, you can be cleaning, you can be crocheting, you can be making a hat along with me. Yeah, this is a good sized brim, I think. Well, hello, Ray! Oh my gosh. Nay is in the... I haven't seen you in ages, Nay. Oh my gosh, it has been ages since you were able to pop in and catch a live. Hello. Like, maybe over a year or more? Oh my goodness, is this the last row? This might be the last row. It's definitely the last row of half double crochet. I might do the row of single crochet. I don't know. I like the idea of doing the slip stitch all the way around, like Amanda said, because it gives it a bit of strength. It also gives it like a bit of a finishing look. So let's see where we're at. I'm almost done this row. No way, she's 5 already? It's been 5 years already? Oh my gosh. That's it. I'm officially old. Holy cow, Nay. That's like... What? Oh my gosh. Okie dokie. That's about all the way around. Oh, this is nice. Yes, send me some photos, Nay. I like this brim. It's oh, I think I might go one more. Like it sticks out. It's got a little bit of quirky ripple to it. My charm up here kind of like is nice and far away and wiggles. Yes. Yes. Oh, do I do another row and then slip stitch all the way around? You know what? Yes. I'm going to half double crochet one more row, then I'm going to slip stitch somewhat loosely into every stitch to do that, just that like that tighter edge like Amanda was mentioning, because I like that. I like that a lot. Let's try not to have this getting all tangled up on me. All right, one more row of half double crochet, then a finishing row of slip stitches all the way around. I will not be using the craft wire. You can use the craft wire if you feel you need to, but if you've been doing this like as tightly as I have all the way around, then you probably won't need it. I have not increased for, this will be my third row of not increasing in the brim, but just trying to be just a little looser with my tension, because I don't want to encourage additional ripple, but I do like the ripple that's already there. So I'm kind of just maintaining the status quo. I'm going to do one more row of half double crochet all the way around because I like the wide brim, and then I'm going to slip stitch. I will slip stitch in each stitch all the way around. That will give it a certain amount of tightness, stiffness, and then I'll be done my witch hat. I'm still using my 4.5mm hook, Sam. It's also a G6, I guess, or a 7. It depends on kind of the manufacturer. But you use whatever hook works best for the yarn you choose. This is not a tutorial. This is a workshop. So I found that with this particular size 4 yarn that I'm using, it's not all size 4 yarns are the same, we all know that, that I could get a relatively tight stitch with my 4.5mm hook. Everybody's tension's a little bit different. Like some of you might be really tight, some of you might be a little on the looser side. So you might, if you're on the looser side, you might want an even smaller hook. If you're on the tighter side, you might want a slightly bigger hook. So it depends. This is really like based on your own needs. Oh yeah. Yep. It's starting to curl a little bit, is it? It is. Oh, or am I just flattening it out? This is great. I might get a full flat brim with just a small amount of ripple, and I won't even need to use craft wire. Oh, sorry, Samantha. I apologize. I have a friend named Samantha, and I'm so in the habit of calling her Sam. It slipped out. Samantha it is. I like the ripple too, guys. I think this is working out better than I anticipated. I don't want to miss any stitches. I'm getting excited here. Whenever the end of a project is on the horizon, do you find you like speed up a little bit? This has definitely been a marathon live stream, but it's a Halloween party. It's more of a party and a hangout with my dear crafty friends than it is a typical live stream. We did 2 back-to-back live stream tutorials yesterday. So we made the giant spiders you see behind me and the big web that I have on the table here next to me. So those were back-to-back live streams. Those were tutorials. I really wanted to do those decor tutorials. I sort of started working on them last year, actually. This is how my life goes. I wind up with all these ideas and things that I want to do, and I get to work on them, but then, you know, the time kind of passes, and all of a sudden it's like we're headed into the Christmas season, and nobody wants to make a giant spider. So I just sort of shelved the idea, and I thought I would come back to it again this year. So I got to it this week, which I was really happy to be able to do, and it was nice to be able to do it in like a live format. We enjoy making videos, but they take a tremendous amount of time, and some weeks it just makes more sense to live stream something than it does to kind of sit down and put together the whole tutorial. So I think this will be, we did 4 live streams this week. A little out of the ordinary, but you know, it's the week of Halloween, so we're going to be going back to normal for the next foreseeable few weeks. We're going to be back to sort of just a regular live stream on Monday and a regular video on Friday. I've got lots of photographs and stuff to share with you guys in our posts tab. Next Friday is the first Friday in November, so it's Unblanket Friday. Calendar Unblanket Friday. Martha's at work and she's trying to listen and watch. Hope we're not too distracting. Okay, so that's my final row of half double crochet. I think I'm going to do the row of slip stitch, but not too tightly, because I don't want to turn it, I don't want the brim to kind of turn up on me too much, but I know that the brim's going to, the brim will also like flatten out a little bit with wear. Samantha, we did a mosaic calendar blanket. It's the Fair Isle style blanket. Just look up our Fair Isle style blanket. It's Fair Isle crochet, which is mosaic crochet. You're basically carrying a color and making like an image. We did a whole calendar blanket on that, like, is it 2 years ago now? Wow. Yeah, okay, so a row of slip stitch in each stitch all the way around. I think that is a very nice deep brim. It feels moldable. It doesn't feel like it's going to flop down in my face. So here we go. Final row, everybody. I'm just going to slip stitch in each stitch all the way around, but not too tightly. I tend to make my slip stitches kind of tightly. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to try and make them, so what I do is I kind of just pull up a little bit extra when I do the slip stitch, but I'm going to slip stitch into every single stitch all the way around, and that will give the edge a little bit of firmness. I don't need the craft wire, which is great. So if you're making this for a child, then this is a nice way to sort of finish off the brim. The brim can be pretty wide. It's still not going to be floppy, and there's no wire to worry about, so you're not going to like have any ends poking out, bothering anybody. And then the real fun can start. You can decorate it if you want. Like I said earlier, I think this hat is going to evolve. I like the quirky little charm off the tip, but I think I might add some stuff to it here and there. I might put a little belt around the middle, maybe a belt buckle. I don't know. I'm going to see. I also like being able to change the decorations on a hat to suit the costume that it goes with. So for example, if I'm wearing this hat one year and my witch costume is a little more clown-like, then I might put a hat band and flowers and a big feather kind of thing on it, you know, just to make it a little more kind of crazy. If maybe my witch costume is a little more spooky, then maybe I'll put like my giant spider. I'm going to put the spider on the brim before I'm finished. I think that might be kind of cool. So I like being able to interchange the decorations on a hat, like a witch hat. I also have like I have a proper top hat, like a literal top hat. It goes tunk tunk, like it's hard and everything. I bought that from a costume store that was going out of business one year, many moons ago. And I like to decorate it. I've worn it as the Mad Hatter. I've worn it as a pirate. I've worn that hat in a lot of different scenarios, and I've just changed kind of the decoration that sits around the brim. Completely changes the look of the costume. Maeve says Jada loves her surprises. I do. Hello, Uncle Steve. Welcome back to the family. Thank you for renewing your membership. Nice to see you here. I know Uncle Steve loves Halloween. Yes, everybody always asks what the next calendar blanket is going to be, and we never, ever tell you what it's going to be. We've done 10 now. So this year's calendar unblanket project, which Could be a blanket if you wanted it to, but I wanted the flexibility of something that could be a blanket or not a blanket, depending on what you wanted. This was our 10th anniversary of the calendar blanket projects, so we wanted to do something really different. And I really have been enjoying this year's calendar unblanket. I like having actual calendar things to hang on the wall as opposed to just putting together another blanket. I made a blanket ladder this year, and I'm going to be making a few more because I have been looking for ways to display all of the blankets that we've been crocheting here. I love my crochet blankets, and I do use them from time to time, but I tend to use like some for being on the couch a lot more than others. Others are just like, they're decorative. I like to put them out as decoration, but I don't actually like use them. And one, like the folk art calendar blanket, that hangs on the wall periodically. So my blankets are more, I think the calendar blankets are more decorative. And I like to interchange them. So I'm just working my way all the way around here, slip stitching in every single stitch. If you've got to take off, thank you for joining the party. Have a safe and crafty Halloween. Have a great weekend. Like I said, I'm going to have notes and tips and stuff in the description box of this live stream. So if you come back and you're just kind of looking for like a summation of information, I'm going to try and have that in the description box. And I'll probably put some chapters into. Chapters might take a little bit of time. This is a long stream, so it might have to process for a while. So the chapters might take a little longer than normal. You might see them like tomorrow. Okay, I think I'm done. That was my last slip stitch. I'm going to fasten off. Woohoo! And weave that tail in. Oh, this really worked out. Oh my gosh, I am so delighted. Now, where's that? There it is. I think I used about as much yarn as I thought I was going to use, which is about like around 200 yards. I think maybe it might be a bit less. I can calculate it a little bit later because I'm kind of curious. But I don't know how many stitches I made in each row, which is typically how I figure out how much yarn I'm using or about to use. I do that based on stitch count, and because I was taking a break from counting today, this is a freestyle hat, I don't really know. So I'd have to guesstimate, and I'm guesstimating that it's about 200 yards altogether. And I'm just weaving this tail in now to the brim, and then I will try it on. And if this, how long is this we've been going for? About 3 hours or so? I can't even tell. I'm not even sure. Yeah, 3 hours ago. So about 3 hours we've been going. So this has been me making a hat, freestyling, in real time. So I crochet relatively quickly, I think. But I think I was kind of pausing to think my way through stuff and a little bit. So if I kind of knew what I was doing, if I was making another one of these, I would probably be able to make it a bit quicker. But there you go. That's about 3 hours, start to finish, to make a full-sized adult crochet witch hat. No need to put the wire around the outside. If you feel like it's drooping, you can crochet a row around the wire or the pipe cleaners. But I feel like that isn't going to droop in my face. Oh, I like it. I like it. I feel like a very stylish witch. Now, if I could just figure out a way to wear my web from last night. This was so much fun. So, like I said, I'm going to put some notes in the comment or the description box about freestyle crocheting, especially when it comes to making a witch hat. Just the sort of things you want to remember, like how to size, how to shape, and how not to take it too seriously. Just some quick tips for like increasing, decreasing, stuff like that. I'm going to summarize all of that in the description box. So if you need to come back later, that information will be there. It's going to take a while to process, so chapters might take a day or two to show up. Probably a day. Sometimes it takes about 24 hours before I can get the chapters to work out. But there it is, the witch hat. Really like how this worked out. A lot of fun. I'm going to make sure I get some photographs, and that'll be the thumbnail so you can come back and find it. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Have a safe and crafty Halloween. Don't push it. If you are out walking somebody or you're answering the door, stay warm, because traditionally people can catch a cold on nights like this. And I'm looking outside and it's windy and wet. So if you are out in windy, wet weather, then bundle up and make sure you have a hot shower before you go to bed and a hot cup of tea. All that said, have a great weekend. Stay safe and crafty. Happy Halloween. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And we will see you soon here on the Jade and Stitches Show. Stay safe.